What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of Reading for an Hour Before Going to Bed, just to prove that you are better than everybody else. As always, I am your host, Zach Cronin, and today we're going to be talking about Victor Wembanyama because Wemby is experiencing a little bit of a sophomore slump. I think that any negative reaction to this is entirely overblown because it is only a minor slump. To even call it a slump, I think is the wrong adjective. It is not even close to some other sophomore slumps that we had seen in the past, but I think this one is interesting because sometimes when you have a sophomore slump, there isn't an objective reason, a tangible reason as to why this player is performing worse. Sometimes it could just be mental, it could be a confidence thing. But with Wemby, there is one reason, not one reason, but there is one overarching reason, one umbrella reason as to why his production is reduced. And we're going to talk about that. Before we get into the specifics, the only serious drop off in production for Wemby has been his scoring. He's down to 17.7 points per game compared to 21.4 as a rookie. His rebounding is down a little bit. His assists are down a little bit, but otherwise, he is still impactful. He is still an incredible player. He is still maybe the early season frontrunner to be defensive player of the year, as he is once again leading the league in blocks per game, and he is averaging 1.6 steals to go along with it. The reason that Wemby's scoring is down isn't because he's playing fewer minutes or anything like that. It's because he is shooting at a significantly worse clip. As a rookie, Wemby's effective field goal percentage was 51.9%. For anyone who doesn't know, the effective field goal percentage number accounts for a three-pointer being worth more than a two, and it weights those averages differently. This season, to begin this season, that number is down to 46.4%. The biggest issue for Wemby right now is his shot selection. For whatever reason, he is incapable of prioritizing the high quality looks that he saw as a rookie. More specifically, Wemby has fallen in love with the three ball. I don't know why he's settling for so many threes. Even when you go back and you watch some of his tape, whether it's against the Clippers or the Rockets, there are just bizarre instances where he is taking ill-advised threes, and then you remember that these are even more ill-advised because this guy is 7 feet 4 inches tall, and he shot 53% on twos last season. He was a wildly effective interior scorer for San Antonio. With that said, Wemby did take a fair amount of triples as a rookie. He, however, wasn't particularly good at making them. He shot 32.5%. The main difference, however, is about only a third of his shots came from behind the arc last season. This year, that number has ballooned up to 45%, and he is shooting a catastrophic 22.6% clip from three. Nearly half of his field goal attempts are from an area where he is statistically the least likely to make them. In general, Wemby's shot distance has shifted farther out in total. He's added 3.1 feet onto his average shot distance, which puts him at 16.1 feet. Long twos beyond 16 feet have been an issue for him as well. He is shooting just 23.5% on those attempts, despite them making up 12% of his shots. Last year, just like what we were seeing with his threes, the efficiency is worse. It was still meager last year, but the attempts are up as well. Last season, shots from 16 feet out to the three-point line made up just 8% of his overall field goal attempts. What makes this even more infuriating, I guess, is the word to describe it. Infuriating if you're a coach or if you're a fan of the Spurs, is that his efficiency inside of 3 feet, inside of the restricted area, is striking. And you would expect that because he has the physical attributes to dominate around the rim, whether that is as a post player, whether that's catching lobs, whether that is cleaning up offensive rebounds. His efficiency inside of 3 feet has become even better your inside the restricted area, pardon me, has become even better thanks to Chris Paul being the main facilitator for this team. Paul is simply more capable of finding Wemby for weird angles on passes and weird angles on alley oops than anyone on the team was last season. There is simply fewer instances of him asserting himself as an interior presence. This season, he is shooting 77% on shots inside of the restricted area. He has attempted thus far, at the time of this recording, 39 shots inside of the restricted area. He's made 30 of them. If I were one of the coaches on San Antonio, I can't say Pop because Pop isn't with the team right now. I would do everything in my power. I would bring out every play in the playbook to find Wemby and post him on the block. There were instances of this when they played against Houston, largely because Wemby was guarded by Dylan Brooks. Watching Brooks try to guard Wemby in the post is just impossible. He, as strong of a defender as he may be, as physical of a defender as he may be, there is just no counter for Brooks when Wemby spins and is able to get 2 feet in the paint and get the ball up off the glass. There's nothing he can do. And whether that is having him come off screens, whether that is running him as a crosser again across the paint to establish position and work in isolation, that needs to become a focal point of his offense because clearly the shots from the perimeter are not falling. Again, they didn't even fall that consistently for him as a rookie, and why he is continuing to settle for these ill-advised threes, I don't know. Just to compare the restricted area shooting numbers to his rookie season, because that's what I've done with everything else. As a rookie, 33% of his attempts came inside the restricted area, and he converted at about 69.5%. That was why Wemby was so effective. That is why he had a unicorn rookie season offensively, because not only was he doing things that players at his size shouldn't be doing, he has the fundamentals that a center should have. He has solid instincts in the post. There is still a long way for him to go. There's a lot of polish he can add to his game. There's still a lot of strength that he can add to his game. But to see this guy come in as a 19-year-old, however old he was, and just look so poised when going up against some of the, most impressive defenders that the NBA has, it's remarkable. And then you throw in the fact that you can play him similarly to how you play Kevin Durant when you have him come off pin downs, catch and shoot around the free throw line. There are just so many different avenues for the defense to have to plan for, but they are most maximized when you have to respect his ability to score in the post and in the paint. If you're Alperen Şengün and you are guarding Wemby on the perimeter, you want him to shoot. You're going to go under those ball screens. You're going to give him space because you don't want to risk being beat off the dribble and getting dunked on. As I mentioned at the beginning, I don't foresee this being an issue that plagues Wemby for the rest of the season. I think at some point he will abandon shooting so many threes. I know I gave you guys the percentage of all of his shots, but right now he's attempting about 7 threes per game. You don't want that. If you were attempting like 21, 22 shots, it'd be different because that would be a lesser overall percentage. But he's only attempting 15 shots. And overall, that number might turn out to be too low. Regardless, you don't want to bail out the defense. That is a fundamental aspect of not only running an offense, but of being a star talent. You have to understand that every possession where you don't apply pressure to the defense is a win for them. Every time that you settle for an ill-advised shot, it's a win for them. Even if you're not a star player, like even if you're a high school team or a college team, applying pressure on the defense is crucial to getting high quality looks. And high quality looks means obviously more points that you're putting on the board. And a high quality look for Wemby is literally an uncontested layup or an uncontested dunk because there are simply not enough guys in the league who can contend with him when he's going up strong towards the basket. One thing that is also the result of Wemby's increased fondness of perimeter shots is he isn't getting to the line at the same rate as he was as a rookie. So far, his overall free throw rate has dropped 6 percentage points, and he is averaging 1.4 free throw attempts less per game. Those are easy points when you get to the line, especially with how he's shooting it right now. If you were at 60%, I'd say it's a little different. If, 55%, it'd be a little different. But Wemby needs to give himself as many free buckets, as many easy buckets as possible. I do think that the Spurs coaching staff is going to make this a point of emphasis for the remainder of the season. They're going to show him tape of this year and compare it with last year and just figure out ways to put him in similar positions as to he was in last year. But still, he's off to a very solid start this season. That production on defense is remarkable. I really do think that he is going to be the defensive player of the year this year. He is just too impactful on defense. He's just too impactful on defense at such a such a young age. And again, this really isn't anything to be overblown. I do want to end this on a positive note. Again, the numbers aren't that far off. And if we're going to stick with the defensive end of the ball, not only is Wemby averaging zero point 0.1 blocks per game more, he has reduced his fouls by 0.3. So he has become an even more effective defender, averaging 2 blocks per game for every foul that he accumulates, which is like remarkable. That is a Hall of Fame level trajectory as just a defender if he's able to perpetuate that. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves in that regard. With all that said, I'm going to go ahead, close this video out. Thank you guys so very much for coming to hang out with me today. As always, everything that I'm associated with is down in the description box below. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Drop a comment as well. It really helps out with the algorithm. If you do any of those three things, you will become my new favorite person. And with that, I will see y'all in the next one.